Brother, please tell me you are not doing any of these 5 retarded exercises. This video is going to be on that, but I'm wanting to go a little bit deeper. We're going to educate you on stimulus to fatigue ratio, which sounds kind of boring, so I've used 5 stupid exercises to explain the concept. That should be quite fun for you. And then we're also going to look at why changing your workouts so often really will stunt your growth and why you don't want to do that as well. So we'll roll straight into it. Stimulus to fatigue ratio. What are we talking about when we mention this? Well, it's essentially how much juice do you get out of the squeeze you're putting in. It means how much effort you put into an exercise and how much is that yielding back in stimulus on the muscle. Remember, what our main driving factor for hypertrophy is mechanical tension on the muscle. There are a lot of exercises which will get you tired that ultimately are not really doing that. So that's what the stimulus to fatigue ratio is. Now, the first exercise I wanted to show you was the rack pull. Now, the rack pull literally is that in a nutshell. There's a hell of a lot of fatigue because people will load this up, lift about 20 plates aside and just stand up and move from a small range. Let's be honest, like most of you will do a rack pull from above the knee or at the knee. Very few of you will do it as low down as that guy even is. That's nearly an RDL, dare I say it. But a lot of you will just start from just above the knee and you move from just above the knee and then you'll stand up straight. And when you're stood up straight, all your joints are stacked, so there's no resistance anywhere other than in your traps and your hands. And when you do go down, you're only flexing at the hip a little bit. The majority of this channel is probably males, so a lot of you aren't really looking to train your glutes in that manner. So realistically, stop doing this stupid exercise because there's a lot of fatigue to very little stimulus. The gains just aren't that much off the back of it. I would ask you, well, what are you trying to train? And that should always be the main question. Like whenever you do an exercise, just ask yourself, why am I doing this exercise? What am I trying to train? Because if you don't have that answer, you'll just copy people's workouts, do them, and you'll do them for about 6 months, and you'll be like, why am I doing this? I'm not actually sure where I feel it, but I'm good at this exercise now. I've added 30 kilos to this exercise, but it's not about adding it to the exercise. It's about the exercise was a tool for you to grow tissue and muscle. So if you're saying, why are you doing a rack pull? You could say, it's isometrically working my traps, and fair enough, but why not just go on like a cable, get a cable stack and do shrugs off the back of that? And as a side tangent, if you want to train your upper traps, one of the best means to do so will be through cable shrugs. Because when you do cable shrugs, what you're trying to do, you don't want to come straight up and down. So let's take the pen. If you want to train your traps, side note, you don't want to go up. What you actually want to do is go back in line with the fibers. Now, it's very hard to mimic that with a dead weight that would hang in your hands, but a cable will come from here to allow to pull you back. Something I've started to implement recently, working really, really well for me, so I wanted to drop that nugget for you as well. You could say I'm wanting to work my glutes, but like, you want to work your glutes, do an actual proper RDL and go all the way down instead of just going down towards your knees, because realistically, you're not challenging the muscle. Like this here will challenge the muscle in the lengthened position. Now, people as well with a rack pull, people are really, really working concentrically. So you'll just work from here to stand up, concentric short contraction, but there's no resistance at the top anyway. And then by the time you get down, you've rested the bar on the housing, so there's no real tension at the bottom anyway in the 11th position, where this would be harder. So rack pull is an absolute no from me, and I will never program that for anyone. The next one we've got is a close grip bicep curl. Now, why is this a stupid exercise? Well, the first exercise was stupid because it exerted a lot of energy and didn't give us a lot of stimulus. This exercise is stupid for the reason being, if you want to train your bicep, the smartest way to do so would be to align the hand, the elbow, and the shoulder all together with the resistance in your hand, and then curl. That'll give you the most amount of torque on the bicep. Now, if you bring your arms in here, where is the hand now aligned to? Down here, okay? So when you curl, realistically, what are you doing? And where are you putting pressure on? Here and here on your wrists, not on your biceps. People will try to think, oh, I will bring my arms in and it'll work the inside of my bicep. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. Same with if you want to take it out. It's not going to work the outside of your bicep. It's just not really, like, it's a single hinge joint, for goodness sake. So, like, obviously, you just need to align. Don't overcomplicate training your biceps. Just align this and you'll be okay. Now, what we can do for biceps is challenge it at different muscle lengths. So we know if we use a cable, there's still tension in the lengthened position because the cable would want to pull you backwards. Therefore, brilliant, use that and do spend a good second there because remember, there's gains to be had in the lengthened position of muscles. So do utilize that and do put your arm in different positions relative to the shoulder because it'll give a different stretch on the bicep heads. But moving the internal moment arm of where your upper arm is, it's not going to do anything. It's literally retarded. So just stop doing that and you'll have okay wrists. And the same goes for like, if you do, I used to actually think it was good exercise. You get a dumbbell and you go behind your head like this. Problem is, same principle as curling like this. It's just your wrists don't really want to move in that way. You want to, if you want to train the long head and you want to load it, because I appreciate sometimes cables aren't as loadable, I found dips really good because what you can do with a dip is literally align all of this together on the dip machine and then drive from there. So again, close grip bicep curl, you're not going to do, and this is supposed to be a cross, but we'll just turn it into a star. Okay, next one, behind the neck press. So we've had loads of fatigue, minimal stimulus. We've had fucking up your joints for it being in the wrong place and not aligning the moment arm. That always ask yourself as well. Have I got the origin insertion aligned up together, resistance in the right place, and then I'm contracting? If not, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Which leads me on to this one here, behind the neck press. Why is this one retarded? Because you go from here to here. In fact, let me tell you the first and foremost thing. If you do this for long enough, you will have absolutely battered shoulders. Like, pressing with your arms out wide, for the majority of people, fucks their rotator cuff. Like, you don't really want to press in that position. You don't get more range of motion. I mean, you're forced into more range of motion here, don't get me wrong, but like, guess what? You could have that from the front anyway. And do you know what else you can do with your elbows? You can bring them in at around a 45 degree, closer to the body. So from here, now into here. If you go like that, down to up, from here, how much smoother does that feel? Is this out here and then try and go down? It just feels like a torque and a pull in the wrong place. It just doesn't feel nasty. Like, it's almost like you forced the joint, the ball and socket joint, right to the end, right in its vulnerable position. And I tell you what we'll do. We'll just load it up and we'll just grind out loads of fucking reps on it. Yeah, that'll work my shoulder. Yeah, it'll fuck your shoulder in the process. Stick it right in the middle of the housing and then continue to do the exercise. So I would swap military barbell press, to be honest, for a dumbbell press or a machine press. Something that I can get my arms 45 degrees. That is what I'd be doing. So again, some exercises are stupid because they don't provide that much stimulus. Some, you're just not aligned the joints properly. Some are just going to generally injure you because the body just doesn't really want to move in that way, but people think it's smart to train behind the neck press. It's not. It's just outright retarded. The next exercise we've got is a dumbbell fly. Now, if you don't have cables or a pec deck machine, then fine, program it. But I guarantee you probably do. So, why is this a bad exercise? It's not as inherently bad, but it is, like, if you've got a pec deck or a cable fly, you just would never do this. The reason being is how much the resistance drops off at the top. So with a dumbbell fly, it's hard at the bottom, hardest at the bottom because of the distance between the load and the working muscle. But because of it being a dead weight, as you get up towards the top, there's no resistance because the joints, again, are stacked on top of each other. So it drops off. So really, I would say when you get to about here and here, that's your top position. So why am I'm saying this is a bad exercise, or not inherently bad, just I wouldn't do it because you're just limited to how much gains you can actually make, how much distance you can actually travel with. So if you can't travel the load with that much distance, but it still takes effort, doesn't it? It's still effort to hold it in your hands, to move it, and even just to come back up. It's still effort. It's still extreme energy, but not for the gains that you want to be getting. So this is why I want to do this exercise. Just do a pec deck. There's tension all the way from the top, and you can hit the muscle in the shortened position. And as well, so cool, this is going to hit the muscle in the lengthened position. Good, but like, you could just get a dumbbell, proper dumbbells, bring your upper arm into here, and then load the shit out of the muscle, like, really, really well. Because whenever you train your chest, the same principles apply. You're still going to drive your bicep back across your body towards your pecs. So you may as well make the moment arm short. Well, to be fair, you could say, but the distance is further. It is, but realistically, what's going to provide more tension? Distance further, max load in here versus like heaviest load you could possibly do in a dumbbell press. I'm not trying to compare the two, but what I'm saying is just do a fucking pec fly. This is just not going to work wonders for you. And the last one kind of carries on from this. If any of you motherfuckers are doing a quarter rep squat or a leg press or something that you had to load up anyway and are only going through a quarter of the rep because, quite frankly, you're tired and you can't be arsed, then why are you doing it? Because it takes a fuck ton of effort to just get that heavy barbell out the rack, walk backwards, then get ready to do your squat on the pad. So you've already wasted loads of energy anyway. To not go for a full range is like, it's just stupid. Same with a leg press. You spent fucking 20 minutes loading the bastard up and then now you're only going to move it a little bit. Just don't do it. Remember what we're trying to train. If we're trying to train our quads, cool. Take it through as full of the range as possible so you can train your quads. Like if you really wanted to, what I started to implement, I always said leg press over squatting. But what I've done now is gone onto a Smith machine. With the Smith machine, you can sit back against it and treat it almost like a hack squat, and you can get deep into the pocket. It's not as stable as a hack squat, obviously, because you've only got a bar to push against, so there's the whole hack squat, you've got something supported. But what I found with the leg press, as good as it is, the range of motion around the knee joint is not as good as you can get on a squat. So it's not that a squat is better or worse than a leg press, they're both very good exercises, but you get a little bit more range of motion. And that's what the goal is always to do, to get as much range of motion around the joint as you possibly can. So stop quarter repping anything, because it's just stupid. Okay, now let's answer the next question. Why changing your workouts really does stunt your gains. So, you've been running a workout for 3 weeks. You change it? Okay, cool. And now, as you change it to this new exercise, you notice progress. Ah, nice. I must be making gains. You go in the gym again, you make more gains. Ah, nice. And again, oh, yeah, we're still progressing. This new exercise is amazing. I'll tell all my friends about it. I'm doing this exercise. This is great. Oh, and I've got up again. This here, you thought may have been progress. But all it actually was is your body neurologically adapting to the new machine, that it's not really done before. So the novelty of this exercise is, oh, this is great, I've not done it before. But actually, it's the fact that you haven't really done it. Now the body's understanding, okay, cool, neurologically, this is how we do it. To put overall mechanical tension stimulus on that given muscle, this is now the point where you're putting mechanical tension stimulus on the muscle. This here was just neurologically getting used to it. So actually, there wasn't enough stimulus, mechanical stimulus, on the muscle. So hypertrophy wasn't really adhered to, but it felt like you were getting stronger and the novelty was great. Now, you do the exercise and it starts to go like this. Slow progress, maybe up a little bit, slow progress, maybe up a little bit, slow progress. And by this point, what's happened? You've got bored. You've got bored of the exercise and you've stopped doing it. When actually, this is when the gains were going to happen. This here to here, that's the gains you've really made on that exercise, because that's when you were putting proper mechanical tension, training towards true failure of what you could do on this exercise. But guess what happened? You got bored. So when you get bored, what do? You change it. Okay, cool. Oh, we've got this new exercise. Oh, I'm getting stronger again. Oh, and again. Yes. Oh, have you heard about this new exercise, friend? This is fucking amazing. And then this is where the gains happen, because again, the neurological time it took you to get to that point was here. But then what happened? Oh, yeah. Oh, this is slow. Yeah. We must have matched it. Okay, time to change again and do it, and you just keep repeating that. And before you know it, you just never really make any progress on that given muscle because you keep changing by the time you neurologically hit to the point. So what I'm saying is, stick to an exercise. Pick one exercise and stick to it for about 6 months. If it's a compound exercise, just stick to it for as long as possible. Now, going back to the point of high fatigue to stimulus ratio, you could say, oh, I'll just do isolation exercises. And that's a smart answer, but mate, you're not going to just do isolation exercises because it's going to take you hours to finish a session. So there is sometimes a good trade-off. There's a good trade-off in like doing a heavy as fuck dumbbell press exercise, although it's going to be generally quite fatiguing, you're going to get a good amount of stimulus. So all I'm saying is don't do things that are just outright retarded and are going to absolutely fatigue you for very little stimulus. You could say, because the polar opposite to that would be a leg extension. Stimulus through the roof, you get off that and you're fucking tearing up. And actually, a few seconds later, there's literally no fatigue, is there? So you could say isolation exercises are great, and they should absolutely be done, but they would just take too long in your exercise. And also, you want to hit the muscle in a lengthened position, generally where you're loading it up. It's if you just stuck to isolation and just hit it in the short, you're not going to grow as much as you would do. So there is a right amount of fatigue that's needed, but just be smart about what you're doing. Don't change your exercises too fucking often. Hope you enjoyed this style of lecture. If you did, hit the subscribe, and yeah, you will see me again tomorrow.